Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're heading deep into the misty, whispering hills of Arunachal Pradesh in northeast India. We're going to uncover a truly captivating piece of ancient folklore. It's a story about origins, nature, and a cultural bond so unbreakable it has survived for generations. Now, think about this for a second. What exactly unites five completely distinct tribes when there isn't a single photograph, painting, or physical trace of their founder? In our modern world, we're incredibly used to seeing our historical figures, right? We look for grand oil paintings, Marpa statues, or black and white photographs to give us that physical proof. But here, we're looking at a powerful, enduring legacy built entirely on spoken words rather than hard evidence. So, how does a unifying founder exist so strongly without a single shred of tangible proof? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore today. Okay, let's dive right in with part one, Tribes of the Misty Hills and the Roots of Arunachal Pradesh. Living in this majestic, river-filled region, we have the Nyishi, the Apatani, the Adi, the Galo, and the Tagin. Together, they're known as the Tani tribes. And what's really amazing to think about is that long, long ago, even before these communities formed into specific, named tribes, their ancestors lived deeply connected to this specific land. It helps to think of these five distinct tribes like the thriving, beautiful branches of our story's great family tree. They each have their own vibrant traditions today, for sure, but they are all intrinsically linked. Which brings us to part two, the primal ancestor, a legend woven in oral stories. So, meet Abo Tani. He's this legendary, mythical, primal ancestor, and literally the central unifying figure for all the Tani tribes. But here's the absolute crucial point. Abo Tani wasn't a flesh and blood guy like we typically understand historical figures. You aren't going to find his birth records in some dusty archive or his remains in a tomb. Instead, he's a profoundly powerful symbol born entirely from ancient folklore, a primal ancestor who gave life, identity, and wisdom to these people. When we study history, we usually look at the flesh and blood stuff, the kind filled with verifiable photographs, paintings, and stone monuments. But Abo Tani's story is entirely oral mythology. We're talking about stories passed meticulously, voice to ear through countless generations. No camera lens or painter's brush can ever capture his image. Yet despite having zero physical monuments to his name, his spirit honestly lives far more vividly than many documented kings. He breathes in the hearts of the Tani people through rich, continuous oral storytelling. Apatani emerged from the earth itself, a symbol of strength and wisdom. Just picture that imagery for a moment. He wasn't simply born. The stories say he was yielded by the very soil of Arunachal Pradesh, glowing with a warm light. And this origin story is incredibly significant. His emergence directly from the earth brings this deeply rooted sense of strength and wisdom to the tribes. Basically, he is the literal earth given form, standing up to guide his people. Moving right along to part three, Wisdom of the Earth and the Trunk of Tradition. Having emerged from the soil, Apatani wasn't just some passive symbol to be admired from afar. He was a deeply practical teacher. He left behind foundational teachings that served as actual practical survival blueprints. Cultivate the land, hunt wisely and with respect, live in harmony with nature. He essentially wrote the manual on how to thrive in their dense forest environment, completely blending physical survival with a deep ecological respect. These very specific teachings became the foundational trunk of the tribe's shared culture. Now, what's really fascinating is how this translates to modern times. Here is part four, a living cultural legacy, where the forest breathes today. Abo Tani's teachings are described as binding them together like the roots of the great trees in their forests. It's such a striking image, isn't it? Even though the Nyishi, Apatani, Adi, Galo, and Tagin have grown outward into their own distinct cultural branches over the centuries, it's their shared reverence for Abo Tani that forms the invisible root system holding the entire human forest together. And keeping this memory alive, it is a very active, ongoing process. It happens through every festival, every ritual, and every shared tale. The Abo Tani people don't just passively remember him. They live his legacy every single day. Homage is paid to him constantly through vibrant cultural gatherings. So, through traditional farming practices, hunting rituals, and sharing stories around the fire, Abo Tani's spirit is kept vigorously alive. So, why does all of this matter? Well, because his presence is felt in the very soil and sky. It's a timeless reminder of unity and resilience.
Even though we can't see Abo Tani with our eyes, his mythological origins are directly responsible for the very real, modern unity of the Tani people today. Think about it. When a group of distinct people share a common origin story, one fundamentally rooted in respecting the earth and relying on each other, it creates an unbreakable social bond. Abo Tani is exactly the reason these 5 tribes proudly stand united.
Which really leaves us with one incredible final question to ponder. How do oral stories outlast monuments of stone? It's fascinating to think about. Stone eventually crumbles under the weight of time, right? Paint inevitably fades, photographs degrade or get lost, but a story, deeply planted in the hearts of a people, passed meticulously from parent to child, breathed into the very life of a culture, well, that has the power to last forever. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, keep seeking out those amazing stories, and I'll see you in the next one.